Hey friends, today we're going to talk about good old memes. Good old memes. I browse the Formula Dank subreddit too often, and every time I scroll through the comments I see at least one person saying, love these memes, I honestly just watched the race to go see the memes afterward. And I agree. I mean, while I don't watch Formula One for the memes, I still think they add such a great aspect to this sport, and I personally love going through the subreddits of Formula Dank, scrolling through Instagram, seeing all these memes and just having a great time knowing other people saw what I saw and people pointing out things that are just hilarious that I didn't even notice. So why isn't Formula One embracing meme culture? Today we're going to look into that and hopefully get an answer to that question and learn a little bit about Formula One marketing in the process. So I tried to make my eyes look a little bit bigger and it looks like a... Oh my god, I can't believe I did this. If you haven't cafeed with me before, I'm Emma and you're watching Cafe F1, where we talk about all kinds of interesting things about Formula One that aren't quite touched on in these engineering videos and going over racetracks and things like that. I love those videos, but this channel mostly talks about PR, driver drama, all the kind of little things. I tend to notice these things more because I work in the film industry. I work around celebrities and PR people in all aspects of film, so there's a lot of similarities between Formula One and film, so I hope I can bring something new to the table for you guys. So let's get into it. Usually my videos have nothing to do with math, but today we do have a little bit of math. I had to relearn how to multiply fractions, so full disclaimer here, maybe my math is wrong, but I did it a lot of times, so I might be shooting myself in the foot even more by saying that, but we're just gonna try to jump into it. Formula One memes. Why isn't Formula One embracing this meme culture like the way other brands do, and what can we learn about why? So first we have to talk about Formula One's target audience. As much as fans who are part of the meme culture really enjoy memes and like sharing them, that doesn't necessarily constitute the majority of Formula One fans. Over 443 million people watched Formula One in 2020. That was actually a little bit of a decrease from 2019, but you know, COVID. So 2020 had a 17 race season, which averages to about 26 million viewers per race. However, again, 2020 numbers don't necessarily constitute the reality. But even so, 26 million people watching per race is kind of what we're going to be running with for the purposes of this video. So, in comparison to those 26 million viewers, Formula One subreddit has about 1.3 million members. And the Formula Dank subreddit, which is the Formula One meme subreddit essentially, has 350,000. So for the sake of argument, let's say that everyone on Reddit and everyone on the Formula Dank subreddit are all engaging in memes, creating memes, being part of this meme culture. That's gonna kind of compensate for the people who are creating memes on Instagram, meme videos on YouTube, etc. We're just gonna go ahead and make a generous estimate that it's about 1.65 million people engaging in Formula One meme culture. So if all 1.65 million are watching every single race, that only constitutes 6% of race viewers. That's assuming everyone on Reddit watches Formula One and watches every single race, which we know isn't true because some people just skip them and just wait for the memes, which sometimes is better than suffering through a whole race. He's off the track once again, and Sebastian. But even if that full 6% is engaging, Formula One's not going to focus on them. That's such a small demographic that they need to be spending their time elsewhere and marketing towards the people who make up the majority of their viewers. That is, unless they're seeing rapid growth in that sector and seeing some sort of insight that memes really do bring a lot of high value Formula One fans. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later of what a high value Formula One fan is. I'm not one of them yet. That brings up the question, how does Formula One make money? There are plenty of great videos on YouTube that do a great job of breaking down how Formula One teams make money, but what about the organization itself? Formula One, otherwise known as Formula One Group, has three primary income sources: broadcast earnings, sponsorships and advertising, and race hosting fees. Formula One uses a system where TV channels buy into the Formula One live stream of events. I think that this is key to keeping fans uniformly involved for such an international sport because we're all watching the same video feed. Other networks are not using their own feeds. The only difference is that networks use their own commentators and their own graphics in some cases. Networks pay huge fees for the rights to use this footage. That made broadcast earnings total 38% of the 2019 revenue stream for Formula One, which was roughly about $760 million of the $2.02 billion made in revenue by Formula One in 2019. The second largest source of income is race hosting fees. So essentially every racetrack that wants to host a Formula One race has to pay a pretty hefty fee to Formula One to be able to host a race there. These tracks pay quite a bit of money because it totaled about $600 million of revenue for Formula One in 2019. I personally think that the race hosting component of Formula One's profit creation is their primary focus. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it is worth noting that not every track pays the same amount to host a race. For example, I was reading that Monaco pays significantly less than other tracks because it's argued that Formula One needs Monaco more than Monaco needs Formula One. When you don't pay taxes, you get to make choices like that, I guess. And the final piece of those big three revenue sources is advertising and sponsorship dollars. We're not going to get too much into that in this video, just because for the context of what we're talking about, I don't think it has as much of an impact because it's so reliant on broadcast viewers and people at the races that to me, it seems like those kind of things influence sponsors and advertising more than sponsors and advertising influence creating revenue for Formula One, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So if you're better at math than me, you'll realize that those three things do not equal to the $2.02 billion. I actually had to go through and count it multiple times because I forgot what I even said to myself at the beginning of this, that those are just the three biggest components of their revenue. They don't constitute every piece of revenue for Formula One.
I am stupid.
So, what's in that other category? Well, it turns out there's quite a bit of things. Two things of note is that the digital media revenue is part of that category, as well as the ticket sales. Now, in addition to paying a huge race hosting fee, every track has to give a percentage of the earnings back to Formula One through ticket sales. And all these revenue sources are nice, but they all have one common denominator: us. Fans. Without fans, no one's watching, no one's paying for things, no one's supporting these sponsors, and no one's going to races. But like I pointed out earlier, some Formula One fans are a little more worth it than others. In order to find out why Formula One isn't embracing the meme culture side of things, we have to find out who they're already embracing. And that involves the incentive. Why are we supporting certain fans more than others? Well, we have to go into the basic principles of marketing that I actually have a degree in. Do I use it for my job? Kind of. Do I do marketing for my job? Kind of, but not in the context that I paid a lot of money for. But anyway, one of the basic principles of marketing is to target your most profitable customer segment. Now, it seems obvious, but your most profitable customer segment is not always where the most customers are. For example, let's say you made the Formula One fantasy app, which is a joke because it doesn't exist. You have a free version, a $1.99 a month subscription, and a $25 a month subscription. Those are your three tiers that you've created. Why anyone would pay more than free for that? Don't know. Because if your fantasy team's like mine, you lose every single freaking year, and I refuse to change any of my drivers from the beginning of the year, so sometimes you just have to suffer when Alonso's on your team. Back to what we're talking about. So we have three tiers: free, $2.99, $25. Of course, there are advantages to all three tiers, but you really want to look into how you can get more people paying you $25 a month, because those people give you 1,150% more profit than the people who are paying $2. So now that we've gone over that, what's Formula One's most profitable customer segment? We know Formula One makes the most money off of broadcasting rights, but that's a source of revenue, not a customer base. Formula One is not selling directly to a consumer, they're selling to a network who's then selling to a consumer. Obviously, an increase in viewership is important to growth, but there's so many variables to trying to get a bigger audience to determine viewership that it makes it very hard to target a particular demographic, especially when you've got something as huge as Formula One, and other aspects of marketing can really do that for you, like Drive to Survive, for instance. Sorry, I need to take a drink of coffee before I discuss this. Drive to Survive. I doubt that Formula One invested in Drive to Survive with the goal of increasing broadcast viewership, but it did bring in an influx of fans, particularly in the US. Drive to Survive was an organic way to get fans onboarded onto Formula One. I think if Formula One tried to do what Drive to Survive did through traditional marketing methods, it wouldn't have worked. Let's go back to race hosting revenue. Like I said before, I think that race hosting revenue is the key profit earner for Formula One, even if it doesn't make them the most money overall, because it simultaneously boosts sponsorships and advertising revenue as well as broadcast viewership. People are watching certain races because they're at certain tracks. Certain drivers talk about and hype up Formula One more for certain tracks, and therefore their fans are more excited about certain tracks. And it costs a lot of money to attend a Formula One race, even if you're doing it on the cheap. And it also depends what race you're attending. For example, trying to attend Monaco on the cheap is very different than going to COTA. Unless you already live in Monaco and you have a cool trackside apartment already, which, hello, please invite me to come with you next time and just hang out at your house for the weekend. We don't have to talk, I'll just hang out. For example, going to COTA, right now the general admission tickets are $220 for the weekend. That doesn't mean you have a seat, you have to bring your own camper chair and just hang out on Haas Hill. I don't know if it's still called Haas Hill, but it was when I went in 2018. And for every general admission ticket sold, Formula One gets a cut of that ticket sale. But I don't think they really care about the people paying for general admission. The real target here is the Paddock Club people, the rich people, the people who are paying for this Paddock Club access, who are paying for special seats above certain teams, who, put a bunch of money into having lunch with drivers, to doing track walks, to doing all this stuff. Those are the people that Formula One's going after. In fact, on the Formula One website, you can already see them, it's called segmenting. You can already see them segmenting customers through the Formula One ticket website for us commoners and the Formula One experiences website, where you can go buy your Paddock Club access and feel like a badass. And someday I hope to be one of those people, but today I get to make fun of them instead. Even though I can't really make fun of them because I'm just jealous. But by having two separate websites, Formula One is separating the fish from the whales. Selling out Formula One experiences is going to be way more popular than general admission. Honestly, the price of some of these Paddock Club passes is so insane that I think selling out the Paddock Club could compensate for half the other spectators being lost. They're so expensive. I don't know how many they sell, but even COTA in 2018, I want to say a Paddock Club for Friday practice was still like $1,000 for just that day. I was tempted, but I don't got that kind of money. In short, Formula One wants to target the fans that have a bunch of money to spare. So they don't care about memers. Unless those memers suddenly become all the people in the paddock, which I'm sure there are a few memers in the paddock, but not enough. It doesn't mean that they're neglecting the rest of us fans. But to put it in perspective, the people in the Paddock Club were cheering Vettel on, eating their caviar, while they got to see the Vettel overtake, while the rest of us were watching Stroll roll over some curves. That being said, I think the meme culture of Formula One deserves more recognition because of what it does for fan engagement. You could have 1 million people watching every Formula One video, but if they're not commenting, liking, sharing, spreading it around, there's not really a point. They're just going to stagnate the viewership of Formula One. Meme creators, as we've seen, are actively recruiting people. People are watching Formula One because of memes, and I think that it'd be worth it for Formula One to at least explore why that is. Because honestly, I don't know that I would follow anything just because of memes. And people creating Formula One memes are doing it for free. Formula One's not paying them to do that. They don't have people on payroll making memes. Maybe they do. Maybe they're so marketing savvy that they're paying people to make the memes and it's all a giant conspiracy. I don't know. You can never tell. Like, I say that as a joke, but you can never tell with companies. Sometimes they are doing that. They're just doing something that you think is quirky or funny, or wow, there's a big influx of memes lately, is actually the company in the back door doing that. So it's a joke, but it might not be a joke. So that kind of brings me to my alternative theory, that Formula One is purposely sidestepping the meme conversation and sidestepping meme culture altogether. I will say the Formula One team seem to be engaging with memes a lot more than Formula One itself, such as Mercedes. I guess maybe especially Mercedes, but the example of Mercedes posting the Rocky meme as a joke for race week, teams have a smaller target. So they're targeting existing fans, not trying to recruit fans. So it's easier for them to kind of involve themselves in more niche content. And honestly, it could be part of Formula One's strategy to kind of play dumb. A lot of their social media voice is kind of like this weird, upbeat, generic, a little bit robotic social media presence. They use a lot of emojis, a lot of weird phrases, and when they do glance off meme culture, it's kind of like a weird, trying to be hip kind of thing. I don't really know. Whenever I see it, I just kind of move on. If they create a meme on accident, it's just really funny and everyone loves it, but if they purposely tried to do it, unless they're gonna start being like Denny's and just trying to make ridiculous memes as part of their marketing thing, which I don't think that they'll ever do, it could kind of backfire on them and people could think they're just trying to be one of the cool kids. And obviously Formula One memes are still being made without Formula One even addressing it, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And I really doubt that Formula One is going to start using memes to try to recruit people into watching Formula One. That being said, I think memes are the glue that hold us all together leading up to the race week and especially over breaks. Maybe we reuse the same memes 50 million times, but it just cements in everyone's heads that yes, George Russell might be going to Mercedes. Yes, Bottas is always going to have bad luck, and you always got to leave it to space. So Formula One memers, keep doing you. Someday, I hope Formula One gives you the notice that you deserve. Everyone, thanks for cafeing with me today. I love talking with you all, and thank you so much for all the comments, likes, and especially those of you who have subscribed. I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more with this channel, and you guys motivate me to keep doing it. So it's great to be able to communicate with Formula One fans and have a voice in that conversation. So thank you everyone so much. If you haven't, please like, subscribe, comment. I hope you guys have a great day. Hope it's a race week when you're watching this and that your team wins, unless your team is not Ferrari. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Talk to you all soon. Peace.